Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report. And today's range report is on a very special gun. Not only is this a really cool old Smith Wesson model 66-2, it is also special because the person that lent this to the channel, Sam, this was his first gun. Yes, not only is this a cool gun, it's a sentimental gun. And so for him to lend it to the channel means so much to me. And the more I've learned about this particular model, the more I am intrigued. But before I tell you about it, of course, I always want to thank my Patreon supporters. They keep the lights on around here. You guys know, as a demonetized channel, the Patreon support goes a long way in helping me continue to make all this content. And if you guys want to join Patreon, please check out the link in the description below. And I want to thank my sponsor for this video, as always, is Brown Works. He provides all of the ammunition for these range reports. If you guys don't know, or if this is your first video here at the Texas Gun Vault, Brown Works is a custom grip shop owned by a guy named Mark Brown, and he is a master craftsman that can make a ton of different types of grips out of various exotic woods and colors. Anything that you want, he can make. He can even put on custom logos and engraving. He can make one-of-a-kind grips that are made to order that will really accentuate your gun and make every gun that you own that you put on his grips something special and unique. So please go check out his website. If there's something there you don't see, make sure you email him, ask him what he can do. I guarantee you he can make something for you, and tell him the Texas Gun Vault sent you. It's really important that if you guys like the Texas Gun Vault and other firearms content here on YouTube, make sure that you go out and support the companies that support the content creators. Even if it's not my content, go out and support the people that help keep this stuff on YouTube, as they are constantly fighting us and trying to demonetize us and get us to go away. And these companies do so much in helping us keep the content going. So please go check out Brown Works and see all that he has to offer, and I guarantee you, you will be very happy and impressed if you buy anything from him. Go check out the link in the description below. I will also pin a comment, and use the discount code to get 10% off your first set of custom grips from Brown Works. All right, so as I said, this is a really cool Smith & Wesson model 66-2. Now this comes from the 1980s. It is one of the classic Smiths made in stainless steel, and it is before Smith & Wesson sold us out and worked with the Clinton administration when it came to gun control. So this one does not have the lock set in the frame, or as some people call it, the Hillary hole. So a lot of people think these work a lot better and have a better trigger pull. Plus, it's a classic Smith. Yes, I actually think the Smith & Wessons made today are pretty darn good. The one advantage that the modern Smiths have over some of these older guns is the fact that the metallurgy is a little bit better, but when it comes to the action and the aesthetics and the options on these classic Smiths, well, they got the modern ones beat. So besides being a classic Smith & Wesson revolver, what else is special about this? Well, it has a 3-inch barrel. It is my understanding that not many guns of this era were made with 3-inch barrels. Smith & Wesson made a 2 and a 4-inch as kind of their standard production. Sam, who owns this, did a little bit of research, and he found out that there was a series of these guns that were made specifically for the FBI. Yes, back when the FBI used revolvers, and they wanted a 3-inch. It was kind of a compromise between the 4-inch, so you get the better accuracy, and the 2-inch, the snub nose, for more concealability. It kind of gave you the best of both worlds and gave you decent ballistics using .357 Magnum. Now, while this gun might not have been specifically part of the FBI contract, Smith & Wesson did release a few of those with those specifications. And this, I believe, is one of them. I know that not many were ever released. I don't remember the exact number that Sam told me. Something like 500 made it onto the civilian market. So this not only is a classic Smith, it is kind of a rare Smith. And I have to tell you, this 3-inch barrel is really intriguing because it feels so well balanced. I'm not an expert revolver shooter, and I've owned 6 and 4-inch revolvers, and I have to tell you, the 4 inches I like a lot better. They seem well balanced. This one actually seems even more balanced. I've never liked snub-nosed revolvers, and the main reason is I feel like you don't get the maximum ballistics with a barrel that short, plus you get a very short sight radius. Now, when I shoot 6-inch revolvers, I always feel like those are some of the most accurate guns I've ever owned. I owned a Colt Python that was a 6-inch barrel, and I also owned a Smith Wesson 686 Plus, and both of those shot very, very tight groups, especially in single action. So, we're gonna get this thing to the range. I'm gonna shoot both 357 Magnum and 38 Special through this. I'm gonna start off with 38 Special. I just wanna see how the trigger pull is. I can tell you just kind of dry firing it here at the house, it feels great. But I'm gonna try it with both 38 Special and 357. The first cylinder, as I said, will be 38. I'm gonna shoot at center mass. Second cylinder will be 357. I'm gonna shoot at the head on this IDPA target. I just wanna see how this thing handles, how it shoots, and what its accuracy is like. Alright, so I'm really happy with that group, and this gun definitely is very well balanced with an excellent trigger. But now that I've gotten some rounds through it, let's talk about the things that I like and don't like about this gun. First off, being a classic Smith, it has a feature that I absolutely love and wish modern revolvers had, and that is the firing pin is on the hammer. Let me see if I can get that in focus. There it is. A lot of modern revolvers, of course, use the transfer bar, and this has that classic look. I don't know, there's just something so cool and so neat about it. I also love the fact that this particular model is in stainless steel. When it comes to revolvers, I love stainless revolvers. Of course, unless they're made of some type of exotic metal like scandium or something, but the stainless steel to me just has that classic look. It also feels so well built and so solid. I love that about this gun. You can definitely tell this is one high quality firearm. Now, a couple of things that I don't like about this, well, it has the rounded butt. I don't know about you, but there's some things in life I like a rounded butt on. But when it comes to revolvers, I actually prefer the square butt. Now, I do know there are some grips that you can buy which will kind of simulate that square butt. I might go with that. Also, these grips, while they're extremely comfortable, they're a rubberized hoe grip. I would actually prefer to see the original wood grips on this. Now, Sam, who owns this, does own the original grips, but says these are way more comfortable to shoot. So I'm glad he has both sets, and I think if I personally own this, I'd probably keep the wood set on there just because it looks so classy. But besides that, those are the only things about the gun that so far I don't like. It's very small, and I can easily change that out. All right, so now let's go to what I call the accuracy portion of the range report. Now guys, remember, I am not an expert revolver shooter. I shoot way more semi-autos than I do revolvers. I'm gonna put the target out at 25 yards. I'm gonna shoot both again, 38 Special and 357 Magnum through this. On this particular target, 38 Special will be on the left, 357 will be on the right, and I'm hoping I get a pretty decent group. But let's see what happens. So I actually have to say, for me, that's pretty darn good. All of the shots were at least in the circle, and on the .38 Special, I had a pretty tight group of 3 or 4. At 25 yards, that's actually pretty good for me. And I chalk a lot of that up to the sight radius on this. As I mentioned before, snub-nose revolvers, I shoot horribly. This one just gives me that extra inch, and sometimes that extra inch matters. Trust me. You get a little bit better sight radius, and I feel like going out to longer distances, that really helps. Of course, it's even better on a 4-inch or a 6-inch revolver. So, the accuracy on this thing, I think, is top notch. For me, anyway. As I said, I don't shoot revolvers all that good just because I'm not as experienced with them, but I'm just the average gun guy. I know people in the comment section below always rag on me when it comes to my revolver reviews. They say I'm horrible, I'm a terrible shot, and I know nothing. Well, maybe that's the case and you guys can make fun of me. But anyway, so now I'm going to let my wife get a chance to shoot this. She's going to shoot this only with .38 Special. After seeing what the gun does in .357 Magnum and hearing the concussion, she only wants to shoot .38 Special. I don't blame her. But I do have to say, this gun handles .357 Magnum like an absolute champ. But she's going to shoot this both single and double action. Her first shots will be center mass on this pink target, and then she's going to go for the head in double action. And let's see how she does. Mainly because a lot of young and novice female shooters want to buy some type of double action revolver as their gun. It just kind of seems like it's the go-to thing. A lot of people in gun shops try to lead female buyers to this, and it's something that I've always thought we should not do, but I'll explain why after my wife shoots. So for somebody who's not a complete gun geek like myself and has limited experience shooting revolvers, I actually think she did pretty good, especially on single action. However, this is one of those things that I was talking to you about just a moment ago, where a lot of women buy double action revolvers as their concealed carry gun because they think it's simplistic and it's easy. But when it comes to the double action pull, even on a fantastic gun like this, which honestly has a great double action pull, your shots are all over the place, including myself, and I'm going to show you me shooting some double action here in just a minute. When she went for the head, granted in a self-defense scenario she probably would be going for center mass, her grouping was kind of all over the place, and that's just because the trigger is so much heavier. I don't have a trigger gauge, maybe it's something I really should invest in around here, but this thing is probably what, 9 or 10 pounds? It's kind of a long, heavy trigger pull, but that's what you want and expect from double action. And I can see how a woman under stress might not be able to pull off those shots accurately in a situation where she's having to defend herself. I personally think that we live in a modern semi-auto world. I know a lot of the older guys into guns love revolvers and say they are the absolute best, and when it comes to a CCW gun, they work just fine. And I completely agree. They are still relevant and technologically innovative. However, when it comes to the simplicity of the modern world that we live in, I think that a nice semi-auto that is easy to use is a better option for novice and women shooters. But that's just my personal opinion, and I'm kind of speaking from experience when it comes to training and teaching other people the basics of firearms, firearm safety, and how to handle guns at ranges. But let's talk about me now, and me being a terrible shot when it comes to double action revolvers. Well, I'm going to shoot this thing again, 38 Special, 357 Magnum, double action, and let's see what happens to my groupings. Alright, so all of my groupings were on paper. They weren't too bad, but they're not great at all. And that's just me as a revolver shooter. You know, one of the hardest things about having a YouTube channel, a lot of people come to me and assuming that just because I have a YouTube channel, I must be the greatest marksman in the world. And when I let people down, they kind of rag on me. Well, it's okay if you rag on me for being a bad shot in this range report. I like to say that I am just an average gun guy. I am like one of you. I have just been fortunate and lucky enough to, I guess, be brave enough to put myself out there on YouTube. I let people make fun of me, see what I have to say, but I also am just an average gun guy. I'm just lucky enough to get to shoot all of these guns and have such amazing subscribers who let me borrow such awesome firearms. But for me, the gun shot, I guess, pretty accurate for double action. I have to say from a feel standpoint, the double action trigger is really good. It has a nice smooth take up. The break is just fine. It's good for double action. I really wouldn't expect much else. The single action trigger side of this is absolutely fantastic, and all of my Smith & Wessons have been that way. So after spending some time at the range, I only had about 6 rounds of 357 Magnum left, so I'm just gonna see if I can shoot this thing kind of fast. This double action pull is kind of long, and I'm just curious how fast I can shoot it. But I'm gonna warn you right now, I'm no Jerry Miculek. So obviously I had a lot of fun at the range, but what are my final thoughts on this awesome Smith & Wesson Model 66-2? Well, while modern Smith & Wessons probably have better materials that go into their frames and cylinders and parts, they just don't make them like they used to. This is one classy, well-built, iconic firearm. The Smith & Wesson Model 66 is kind of renowned, and I understand why. This is my first Model 66 I've ever gotten to shoot. It is just well built. You see the quality that went into it, and you begin to appreciate maybe what Smith & Wesson has lost over time. As I said, they probably make guns today out of better materials. They probably make them more efficiently. However, just like when it comes to old classic Colts and an old Colt Python that I used to own, man, when you shot that, you just felt quality. You felt something that took time to build. And probably adjusted for inflation, these things cost a lot more. Smith & Wesson can make a lot of revolvers very fast and make them very well built. Probably because, as I said, modern machining, modern tolerances. These probably were a little bit more hand fit back in the day. And you just can tell quality. And this is a fantastic revolver. And I'm really impressed with the 3-inch barrel. To me, that is the best thing about this particular example. That is an awesome barrel length. And I think if I ever go shopping for another revolver, I have my eyes on a couple, and one is the Smith & Wesson 327 Performance Center model that has the scandium frame and the 7-shot cylinder. Well, if I was looking for another one, I'd see if I can find something in the 3-inch barrel variety. It is just so well balanced in your hand. You don't feel like there's so much weight out front. I think you get great ballistics, a great sight radius. This is just one fantastic gun. And I have to say, for Sam's first firearm, I don't think he could have done any better. I know the first gun I ever bought from an FFL was a Glock Generation 3, and it was pretty good. but this is a classic. And I am so glad that he still owns this particular gun. It has to have such great sentimental value, and it shoots awesome. So on my star system, how would I rate the Smith & Wesson Model 66-2? Well, I would give it 4.5 stars out of 5. This is just a well-built classic firearm. Just a couple of things about it that I wish were changed. I wish I had the wood grips on it. I wish it had the square butt versus the round butt. But this thing shoots fantastic. It is just a classic, awesome firearm, and is a type of gun and a model that I would love to have in my collection. I don't shoot revolvers that often, but when I do get to shoot a high quality gun like this, well, it kind of makes me want more. And maybe over time, I'll get into revolvers more and get to shoot them more and appreciate them more. And I really shouldn't say I don't appreciate them now. I definitely do. I just end up spending most of my time focusing on guns that I worry I will not be able to get in the future. While revolvers, I think, will always be around and always be classic and be relatively easy to buy, even if you live behind enemy lines in some of those gun control frenzied states. So there you go, 4.5 stars out of 5 on such a classic masterpiece from Smith & Wesson. Thank you, Sam, for letting me borrow this, especially because how sentimental it is. Your very first gun. And of course, you own a lot more now, but to have that first gun and to let me shoot it, I am honored and humbled. So let me know, guys, what do you guys think about the Smith & Wesson Model 66? Do you own one? Have you ever owned one? What do you think of my thoughts and impressions on this? Do they echo yours? I would love to know in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.